Project Forward Module for Tea House. Objective: determine the construction materials and resources based on wooden forward escape elements. This will involve analyzing their properties and characteristics and mapping them in a three-dimensional model. The goal is to identify ways to optimize the construction process of a specific project and draw a conclusion about the structural performance of these components. Tea house. Justisu is the Japanese term for a tea house. A tea house is an intimate and contemplative space designed for the preparation and enjoyment of tea, deeply rooted in the structural traditions of countries like Japan and China. The essence of this tie of structure lies in its simplicity, harmony with nature, and the creation of an atmosphere that fosters tranquility and introspection. Concept: the tea house is not just a physical structure, but also an architectural manifestation of the same physiology, where the design encourages calmness, modesty, and respect for the present and the ephemeral. Yin stands for yin and yang, an ancient Chinese philosophy symbolizing two opposing forces that form a whole. For this reason, our design will be based on the yin yang symbolism, aimed to achieve balance within our tea house. Sunny, following the concept of yin and yang, the kitchenette will be placed at the top, with the hallway acting as the same river flowing through the center of the symbol. The shapes will be strategically arranged to simulate the reference circles. General concept: the tea house is inspired by the symbol of yin and yang, representing duality and balance. The shape of the upper structure is divided into two curved sections that evoke the force of yin and yang. This design touches a balance between the different areas of the interior space where it functions as the atmosphere at the harmoniously distributed. Project Stage 1: Forward Design. Elements of the firmware model: bearers, widgets, groups, bracings, main beams, cross beams. Once all the props and bracing were in the place, the main beams were installed. As they were positioned, it was possible to verify that the bracing was straight, and it was observed that the structure gained greater widening. The cross beams were then nailed of the positive direction to the main beams. At this point, the structure reached the maximum rating and stability, leaving no doubt about its load-bearing capacity and strength. Is it worth clarifying that in a real construction project, bearers are only implemented in one direction? Then, purlins were placed on the bearers. Additionally, bracing was added to each of the purlins. Observation: the roof was used in the project that was received by the previous team had defects in the leading and in the proportion of the brick. Therefore, it was considered to rebuild the roof and make a purple. Stage 2: upper floor tea house forward design. A sketch. Elements of the structural model: a structure, wiring struts, and poles. Model recite: areas of opportunity: reconstruction and creation of proper leveling for the roof, reconstruction and improvement of the structural system, optimal distribution of the forces scattered by the weight of the roof. Correction: fluid base. The fluid slab of the project per se was made with a particular hardware, in addition to the high nailed at the regular and unrealistic points of the wood with respect to the real firmware. Aerial distribution. Above this fluid grade, we found that the arrangement of the rollers offered minimal stability to the ceiling slab because there was a lot of separation between them. Armors. The armor beside had an intelligent design, but it was outside the scale of the model and was not put into the practice the most efficient way possible. So the main challenge in this restoration was to resign said armor to achieve of the correct state scale, maximizing their structural efficiency and build them in the best possible way. In the appropriate period of time, Larry put together the modification made and became fully with the third and final phase of the simulation model. Construction process: design and cutting of pies. Two, assembly of longitudinal bars. Three, molding of the forward of the model. Four, final edges. Roof correction, representation and creation of a correct leveling of the roof, improvement of the same proposal. Optimal distribution of the load stirred by the roof. Roof design, we consider that the original wheel, it was a pretty interesting, so if the roof we found a way to give the sense of said idea with a solid plate of transparent one in reference to duality of the yin and yang, the light and the darkness. Stage 3 finishes. Several design of the inner layer of the walls were made with the intention of optimizing the interior space in the best way, and the layout was designed to maintain a good amount of natural light. So in design, the construction process was carried out on logical and functional other fear departments were developed which formed of main structural support. There were constructed using lightwood and small nails, storing a story base capable of supporting both the soldering and the electrical circuit. The last electronic circuit was installed, which was designed to integrate efficiently with the main structure. It was located above the cell, enabling its access for the maintenance and making sure the project is system. The grid and connection points were strategically distributed to simulate a functioning system in architectural environment. Final findings. Taking into account everything that was learned and analyzing in the relation of the simulation model, the following points are concluded. The importance of the clarity in time repartition in projects as well inversion or restoration of previous built elements was understood. It was understood that there is a range of ways in which a good idea can be managed through the doubling of the project, eliminating our own elements to them. It is recommended when referring to this type of projects to consider it parts as well for the repetition to the closest possible reality. In the same way, having percent that inability certain parts of the process will naturally be of more priority than others is recommended. And that is this ideal for the appropriate functionality of the project. It is approximately this stage in that way.